Hi, this is Ken Pond, and I'm going to go over a hack that I use real quick for Photoshop 2024. It involves the generative fill function. Now, most of you, if you are aware of the generative fill function, it's been around in Photoshop since September 2023. It's pretty amazing, and if you're not familiar with it, I'm just going to quickly go over what it can do for you in Photoshop. So here we have the vehicle assembly building at NASA. What we're going to do is we're going to find something. We're going to take the lasso tool and we're going to find something that we want to take out. So the first thing that comes to my eye is, let's just say, this hunk of vehicles right here. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. And I'm just going to lasso this portion. And then when that happens, my generative fill will pop up and I can click generate. And once I've done that, it only takes a couple seconds. It does a great job of taking away objects and filling in what it thinks is the background of the image. Pretty neat. Now, you might have seen this. You might be very, very familiar with it, in which case it's something that you use often. Of course, you do have your choice when we bring over this little guy over here of choosing different generations. And coming up in later generations of this generative fill, you'll actually be able to upsample what you've generated so it generally matches the resolution of your piece. So that's generative fill in a nutshell. Now, there's going to be times where you're going to have much more intricate selections that are kind of going to be a pain to select with a lasso tool. So let's get rid of this layer where I made the generative fill. Let's zoom in and let's find something more intricate. We've got these people walking around here. So if I take my lasso tool, even when I'm using a Wacom pen that offers you a lot more precision and control once you get used to using it, I'm going to go over here and select this person. If you really want to get the best out of generative fill, you want to be as precise as possible. There we go. We've done that selection. Now we're going to hold down Shift. And with the lasso tool, it's going to enable you to make another selection for the generative fill to remove these people. But here's the problem. If at any point you screw up or your hand slips off the pad, you're going to screw up a selection. So if I just clicked inadvertently off that selection, I've lost everything that I've done. So here's the hack that I come up with to help with that. What we're going to do is we're going to make a new blank layer, or empty layer, I should say. And instead of using the lasso tool, I'm going to take a brush tool. I'm going to make sure that the hardness is up all the way to 100. I'm going to use the bracket tools to make this pen or brush tool much smaller. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in even a little more. And on that empty layer, I have to make sure I have that empty layer selected. And I'm going to start painting these folks. Okay, right now I'm using green. You could literally use any color that you want. I'm going to make that green a little brighter using the brightness. Maybe bring up the saturation a little bit too. Okay. This will make it much easier to see. I am going to use that to paint out everybody here. So you see, I'm not using the lasso tool. I'm not holding down the Shift key to make another selection. I'm simply painting on the things that I don't want. And you'll see how this is going to work with the generative fill in just a second. Okay, so I've selected enough for this example. Actually, this is kind of ugly. I want to get rid of this here too. So what I'm going to do is going to go over to this layer. I'm going to hold down Control. I'm going to click the layer. That will give me a selection over what I just painted. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off that layer. And then I'm going to, with the selection still loaded, I'm going to click on the background. And then I'm going to click Generative Fill. So as you can see, it's done now. It's not bad at all. I do have my choice of the different fills. I think I'm going to stick with that one. I don't know. I think it's the less of all evils. But basically, I've really made a shortcut by painting, taking my time for all the things I want, making a selection of it, going to the original layer with that selection, and putting my generative fill in. So that is a quick hack on how not to lose your selection with the lasso tool and just be able to take the time you want to paint out what you want to zero out in the image.